Hi everyone, my name is Mteteri Annette, a student at NS Ruhengeri. I'm here to present about few things in applied immunology, and I hope it will be clear. So, this is my presentation outline, which talks about all of immune complexes. And first of all, we have to see what are immune complexes, and we see what are their roles in the immune system, how immune complexes interact with the complement activation, how it can be cleared from from immune complex, and the mechanisms that are involved in their clearance from the immune system, how it can, like immune complex, how it can contribute to autoimmune diseases, what are regulatory T cells, and we'll have a conclusion. So, immune complexes is the combination of antibodies with antigens. So if antigens bind to specific antibodies, to their specific antibodies, they form what they call immune complexes. So immune complexes can help in immune regulation and pathogen clearance. Still, failure to clear immune complexes can lead to autoimmune disease. So, like immune complexes have different roles, which will include protective roles, and among these protective roles we'll have pathogen neutralization, which is the pathogen blocking to infecting host cells. It will involve phagocytosis, which is the engulfing and killing of foreign substances, and it is done by different immune cells like neutrophils. And still, immune complexes can activate complement system through different pathways, like classical pathway. It can promote inflammation, whereby if it is not cleared well from the immune system, of course it will lead to inflammation into different tissues like kidneys. So here's the interaction of complement activation with immune complexes. So like immune complexes, we've seen that it is the antigen combination with the antibody, which is here. So this whole diagram, it is illustrating like the interaction of this complement activation with the immune complexes. So like complement system, it is a series of proteins which are named by the letter C, which ascends from C1 to C9, and if it is activated through three pathways, which will include classical pathway, lectin pathway, and alternative pathway. So here is the classical pathway of activating complement system. So like this like as we are seeing the interaction between these two immune complexes, which is the antigen antibody combination, activate the classical pathway. And here, this is the classical pathway from here, whereby the C1, which is divided into C1s, C1r, and C1q. So specifically C1q will bind to immune complexes, which is this one. So this C1 is combining to this complex, resulting into C2a and C4b, which is named as C3 convertase. So the formation of this C3 convertase will lead to opsonization, which is the enhancement of phagocytosis by C3b. So like the difference between these two pathways, it is that this classical pathway starts from C1 binding to immune complex, and this alternative pathway for it starts from, like, it utilizes C3 convertase whereby it will be combined or binded to factor B by the help of factor D, leading to C5. So if C3 convertase it is cleaved, it will give us C3A fragment and C3B, which cleaves to give us C5 into which, whereby C5 it is cleaved into C5N and C5B, which is the C5 convertase. So like whereby it will form the membrane attack complex, thus forming pores into the cell membrane, and like C5, like it will enters forming C6, giving us C7, 8 and 9 together. So like this is how, that was how complement system is activated. So like interaction between these two, this C1 will bind to immune complex, initiating the cascade, and formation of C3 convertase, as we've seen, it will lead to opsonization by C3b, and like inflammatory response via C3 and via C5 would, whereby it is done, it will hop into these two, or these the remaining one entering into the cell, and like this complement system which is activated will facilitate the clearance of immune cells by immune complexes by macrophages and erythrocytes, and erythrocytes are the red blood cells. Still, it will ensure efficient immune regulation and pathogen removal. So like we are going to see different mechanisms of clearing immune complex from the immune system, and the first mechanism will include complement mediated clearance, which is the opsonization, and it will be done by the help of C3b, and thereby enhancing phagocytosis of the the pathogen. And it can be done still by the help of erythrocyte transport to the liver or spleen. Erythrocytes, we know that they are the red blood cells. So still phagocytosis by macrophages and neutrophils, which are immune cells, can help into clearing of the immune complex, whereby we know that phagocytosis, it is the engulfing and killing of foreign substance, and still immune complex can be degraded in secondary lymphoid organisms which include gout and mouth. Like we're going to see how immune complexes, if it is not cleared well from the body, how it can contribute to autoimmune diseases. So like these autoimmune diseases are diseases that result from the immune system reacting upon its own tissues or cells. So like these immune complexes, if they persist in immune system, will trigger inflammation. So, and still, if it is not cleared well from the body, can be deposited into tissues like kidneys, resulting into local damage. And still, immune complexes overactivating, if they overactivate the complement system, since we know that complement system is a series of proteins, and proteins will help us into different ways. So if it immune complex, if overactivates complement system, damages host cells, and this regulation of immune complex promotes autoreactive T cells and auto antibody production. So like if the immune complexes are not cleared well from the body, of course they will be deposited into different tissues, or will lead to inflammation, whereby if there is inflammation, the immune system will try to recruit immune cells like macrophages to the inflammation site. So this is all I think. So we're going to see what are regulatory cells and their roles. Regulatory cells are subsets of T cells that will maintain the that plays sorry that plays a central role in maintaining immune homeostasis. So like and the different and like it helps in different ways, whereby it will maintain the immune homeostasis. Since we know it, homeostasis, it is the keeping of internal environment of the body balanced. So regulated T cells still will help to suppress autoimmunity and control inflammation, whereby it will suppress the activation of other immune cells like effector T cells and B cells. And still it will regulated T cells, which are called as Tregs, will release anti-inflammatory cytokines, which are interleukin 10 and TGF-B, and can still regulate antigen presenting cells, these antigen presenting cells are cells that present antigens to immune cells for phagocytosis, and these antigen presenting cells includes macrophages. So like regulated cells regulate these cells, the APCs. Still, it can suppress maternal immune cells, suppress the activity of CD4, and the CD4, it is also called as T helper cells, which will help B cells to be activated and to produce antibodies. And CD8, it is known as cytotoxic T cells, which helps in killing infected cells. So here is our conclusion. Of course, our conclusion is going to summarize all of what we've seen in the above slides. So like to talk about immune complexes, which we've seen that it is the combination and combination of antigen and antibodies, and it helps in different roles, including in immunity and regulation. Still, we've seen how the immune complexes can be cleared well to prevent autoimmune diseases. And we've seen what are Tregs, which are also known as regulatory T cells, which help in maintaining immune balance, immune homeostasis balance. And mismanagement of these immune complexes, clearing it, can lead to chronic inflammation and tissue damage. So I think this is all that I had to present in today's presentation. So thank you so much.